Here's how to avoid nightmare clients before they become your client. I'm going to tell you what an ideal client is, what they look like, and how to attract them. I did a test with a room full of people using these principles of this concept, and I received multiple referrals for the exact kind of client I was looking for. Hey everybody, I'm Rob Genovese from Unleash My Beast brand, where I teach you how to be a brander and build a brand. I want to thank everyone in the community for being a part of what we're achieving. If you're not yet a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss a single video. New videos are coming out every Tuesday and Friday. Getting a client is hit or miss. It can be up or down. You sometimes have no idea how you're going to get a client, what kind of client they're going to be. You have no idea how the process is going to go, what they're going to mean in your business. You don't know if they're going to pay, if they're going to be happy. You have no idea what kind of client you're really getting. Sometimes you even get clients that are such a pain in the that they're not even worth the money. But I want you to think about a time when you did have an ideal client, that dream client, that client who values what you do. You know, they really are on board with what you're doing. They believe in you. They pay your fee. They're so happy, and that makes you so happy. Think about a time when you had an ideal client, that dream client. Wouldn't it be great to have more of them? By identifying them and learning how to attract them, you can create an endless flow of clients who love you. So let me roll it out for you. So many people wonder, what exactly is an ideal client? Well, I wondered for a while before I finally learned what it was. And for me, it actually came down to 4 things. There are 4 things generally that you want to look for in an ideal client. And it's probably not what you're thinking, although we'll get to some of those in a minute. Basically, it's got to start out with a certain framework of what that ideal client looks like, what a dream client actually means to you. The first thing is this. Number 1, they're willing to pay your fee. I mean, really, we're in business, right? Who wants a client that doesn't want to pay what you're asking, that chews you down, that constantly wants a discount? And you know what? So often we're so eager to get the client work, we're willing to drop our price in order to just get the work because, hey, some work is better than no work, right? I mean, not really. If you think about it this way, if you constantly discount your work, you will constantly be discounting your work. The idea here is you've set a value on what you do. It has a certain dollar sign attached to it according to its worth. You're putting in not just time, but you're also putting in your experience, your skill set, your ability to deliver a good product that is going to make the client feel good about it, that you're going to deliver it in a timely fashion. All these things come into play for an ideal client. And you know what? That comes at a certain price tag, and you decide what it is. But the client who is willing to pay that price, they've already fulfilled one of the criteria. Number 2 is this. They value your expertise. You know, I've had clients in the past, way back when I was a graphic designer, I still am, but now I'm a brander. But when I was exclusively doing graphic design, I would often come across clients who really didn't value what I did. You know, there's something about being a designer that says, well, I'll know a design is good when I like it. And so for the client, that's totally subjective. I mean, really, you're going to design a certain way. That's your style. And if they don't particularly like it, they want to change your style. And that never really works. So as a designer, I was always undervalued. But when you take a more strategic approach, when you become an expert at what you do, you've now taken yourself to another level, and that client values your expertise. Here's number 3. They're happy with the result. You know, hopefully, all client work will end in a happy result. We all picture the client just falling over in love with our work because, you know, we have sweated over it, we have bled for it, we have lost sleep over it, and we hope at the end that they appreciate so much they're really happy with it. But you know this is reality, and that's not always the case. And here's number 4. They refer you to other people. This is where the rubber meets the road in terms of what a great ideal client is. I mean, the whole idea here is to keep attracting those ideal clients, to kick in a referral machine so that they send more business your way and they keep sending more business your way. And the more you attract some of those ideal clients, guess what? The more people are sending more business your way. So that's the 4 criteria that I believe every ideal client should have at the very least. But any good strategist is going to tell you what the ideal client actually looks like. And that comes down to a number of different factors. The first place you can look if you're trying to figure out your own ideal client on your own is to look at past ideal clients. Who are some of your favorite clients from the past? Who did you love to work with? Who loved to work with you? Who fulfilled those 4 criteria I just described? When you look at who they are, I want you to write down the traits they had that made them such a dream client. And then look for those traits in future clients. That's a real simple way of looking at it. But there are other things we can look at that enable us to really get a clear picture of what an ideal client looks like. We can look at demographics, things like age, race, gender, marital status, income level, where they live, geography. All these demographics really come into play in helping you get a real clear picture on what the ideal client looks like. There's also something called psychographics, and those are the things that are not quite that tangible. They're more things like personalities, beliefs and values, attitudes, opinions, interests. Those are psychographics. Here's another great way to get a picture of what your ideal client looks like. If you've got a social media audience already, just look at who they are. Get into the analytics and get a picture of those already following you and enjoying what you're putting out there. Chances are these are going to be some of your clients. These are going to be people out there who they're following you because they like your work, because they like the way you think, so they might be inclined to hire you. It's a great place to look for your ideal client. If you're getting value from this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell now. So we've talked about what an ideal client is, what they look like, but now we want to know, how do you attract them to you? How do you bring them to you? Most business owners that I meet, they mostly don't enjoy the sales process, that process of going out and getting clients. They would rather basically have a store where they could just open up the doors and traffic walks by and people stop in, say hi, and buy from them. But that's not really going to happen, especially if you're not a storefront type business. So then how do you attract these clients to you? More importantly, how do you attract the ideal client to you? Have you ever met somebody for the first time and you became fast friends? You were introduced to them by a mutual friend and you talked with this person and it was like you were old buddies. You talk about all your interests and you just seem to have common ground and you just seem to sync up your minds and you have a good time and it feels so natural and normal. They say something and they feel like, hey, this person really gets me. They really understand who I am. That's your ideal client. So then what you got to do is you've got to learn how to speak to them. This is attributed to the messaging in the whole brand strategy. The messaging is basically words you use and words you do not use. It's how you use those words. There are so many words that mean the same thing, but not always the most appropriate word is the word you'll use in a particular situation. Millennials speak differently than boomers. Between any generation, there's a generation gap. One doesn't really understand the other. One thinks a certain way, the other thinks another way, and they just don't seem to connect. And a lot of the language has something to do with that. Older generations don't understand younger generations, particularly because of the words they use, they just don't follow. One example of using certain words to talk and to relate to a certain group of people is by Gary Vee. Now, outside of the F-bombs that he uses, we won't even talk about those. But look at some of the other words he uses. For instance, if Gary Vee was talking to you about how to do really well in your marketing, doing really well on social media, how to really build your business, what does he say now? He talks about crushing it. He wants you to crush it. Now, he attracts a certain audience, and that's an audience who really goes for the aggressiveness, who really wants to take the energy that he has and put it into their own business and crush it. What if Gary Vee woke up one day and he said, "Hey crew, I just want to talk to you a minute about how to really bowl over your audience on social media." I mean, it would be so swell if you guys increased your audience a lot. Different effect. Likely, he would probably lose some people because they're used to the way he speaks. Now, choosing words can be done intentionally. I don't know if he did it intentionally, it's probably just who he is. But part of branding is influencing people by the way you carry yourself, by the words you use, by the visuals you use. So the words you use are very important. You want to use words that your audience understands, that your ideal client uses to create the relationship. You're trying to do this from a distance, so outside of the physical energy that you have or the ability to meet them face to face, you're going to need to use your words in order to attract them so they hear what you're saying and they're drawn into your conversation. One of the best ways to do this, again, if you've got a social media following, or even if you really know who you want to serve and you want to attract more of them, go to where they hang out. Go online, go to those social platforms and hang out in the groups. Notice the language they're using, then adopt the same language and mindset. Earlier, I talked about how I did a test with this and I'd gotten multiple referrals for the exact client I was looking for. The story is this. I was in a room full of people and I was in front of them week after week for a while. Well, I gave them a general idea of what I was looking for in a client. I said something along the lines of, I'm looking for a service-based business with 1 or 2 decision makers. If you know somebody like that, I love a referral. And I did that for weeks. And you know how many referrals I got after several weeks? None. But then I did something a little different. With the same group of people, I went in one day and I got more specific. Here's what I said. I'm looking for a personal fitness trainer who has a strong social media following that is looking to build a nationwide brand and business. If you know somebody like this, I would love an introduction. Do you know the next week I got 6 referrals based on that one ask? That's the power of getting really specific about who you're looking for. Attracting your ideal client takes quite a bit of work. It takes adopting a new mindset and getting clear about what that ideal client looks like. You're actually going to need to write it down. I heard it suggested one way like this some time ago. They said, it's like a missing persons report. If you want to find somebody, what does somebody do? They go to the police and the police ask, well, what do they look like? What color was their hair? What color was their eyes? They ask many questions to get a clearer picture of the person you're looking for. Do the same thing with your ideal client. Get that clear and write it down so you understand in your own mind exactly what you're looking for. This clarity will give you the ability to be able to speak directly to your ideal client, your dream client, and attract them to you. The idea here is you're going to attract an endless flow of dream clients who absolutely love you. If you got some value out of this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you have any questions or comments, pop them down below. And check out some of my other videos for more valuable branding insights that are really going to help you build a strong brand. If you want to learn more about being a brander and building a brand, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss a single video. New videos are being released every Tuesday and Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.